Hello, strangelings. It's me, Madame Strangeways, back with 2 new true strange stories for you. Both of them about ghosts, beings from another dimension, or perhaps some secret third thing. And as always, solicited or not, usually not, I share my thoughts and observations after each spooky tale. Now, it's time for you to dim the lights, get cozy, and maybe even get yourself a little snacky snack while I read you these true strange stories here on Madame Strangeways. Before we begin, I need your help, please, and thank you. As of the recording of this episode, I am completely out of true strange stories for you. So if you or someone you know has a true spooky tale to share, please consider sharing it with me at madamestrangeways@gmail.com or on madamestrangeways.com. Thank you so much. And now, on to the stories. The TV Ghost by Truly Spooky on TikTok. I'm going to call this one the TV Ghost. This one occurred the summer that my sister Amy, who was a few years older, was allowed to have an hour added onto her bedtime. And I thought it was completely unfair. I was told to go to bed at my regular bedtime, and I threw a complete tantrum. And to be honest, I didn't want to be upstairs alone. So I was put to bed, throwing a fit, and I cried myself to sleep. I woke up sometime later, but I didn't realize how much time had passed. I heard the TV on downstairs, though. I was still so mad that even though all the lights were off, I walked downstairs wanting to catch my sister just taking advantage of her new bedtime. I traversed the entire house, the house that I've been telling you about, in the dark. The only light that was on was the one fluorescent light over the kitchen sink that was allowed to remain on. But as I approached the living room, I could see the glow of the TV, and I could hear the TV on. As I got to the doorway of the living room, I got there just in time to see the TV turn off, but I made out the silhouette of a kid sitting on the living room floor, looking towards the television. I knew it was late at night, but I was still so mad at my sister, and I yelled at her. I said, "I got you. You're busted. You're going to be in so much trouble. You're going to lose your new bedtime privileges." And she didn't answer me back. So I just stood there, yelling in the dark. "I saw you. I saw that you had the TV on. I know it's you, Amy." My mom comes down, asking me why I was up in the middle of the night screaming. And I'm trying to explain to her, I caught her watching TV. My mom flips the lights on. We're completely alone. It's somewhere around 3 to 4 in the morning, and I kept explaining to my mom, "I saw a kid sitting there. I saw a kid sitting in front of the TV." She walked me back upstairs and put me back in my bed. And I saw Amy in her own bed. So who was actually downstairs watching TV in the middle of the night? I guess ghosts don't observe bedtimes either. Stay spooky, friends. That is part of a larger story that Truly Spooky is telling on her TikTok channel. And that's spelled Truly, Truly, spooky with an extra O in there. So SPOOOKY. Truly Spooky. Check her out on TikTok. She's got a lot of personal experiences with scary stuff. She tells great stories. So check her out on TikTok. The story references a house that she has been talking about, and this house is haunted, and this house is terrifying, and she had to live in it as a child. So please go check out, listen to her terrifying stories. But for this story, I thought this was just such a perfect, classic, old school haunted house, scary story, scary experience. I love Truly Spooky. I love how you were out to get your sister. Like, no, you don't get to have cool privileges while I don't have cool privileges and they get to stay up even later than you're supposed to. Absolutely not. Very justice oriented of you. I'm here for it. Of course, what I'm not here for is there being a ghost child watching TV in your home. It's giving Exorcist. Nope. It's giving, I'm going to leave that in. I'm going to leave that error in to show everybody listening that I can make mistakes. I make a lot of mistakes. I make mistakes constantly. And just because I make a mistake doesn't make me a mistake. And I want to make sure that you listening are also applying that same logic to yourself. Just because you make a mistake does not mean that you yourself are a mistake. So let's go back. It's giving Poltergeist. It's giving the movie Poltergeist. You know, that the cover, the movie poster. It's giving that with the kid, the little girl in front of the television. The television's on. Very, very scary. Just the thought. That's exactly what I was picturing as you were telling the story when the ghost child appears and you see that silhouette for just a split second. Super scary, along with all the other stories that you have been telling. I don't know, what else was it? You know, was it just your wishful thinking as a child, expecting to see that? Or was it related to all of the crazy paranormal activity that you talk about on your TikTok account? Who knows? We may never know. I think you do. I think you probably have a much better idea. So again, Truly Spooky with 3 O's. Truly Spooky, thank you so much for giving me permission to read one of your many, many tales about your personal experiences on the show. And if anyone else has personal experiences from haunted houses that they grew up in or any kind of experience at all, I want to hear about it. Email me at madamestrangeways@gmail.com or go to madamestrangeways.com. And remember, that's MADAME. Visitors in Bedroom by Anonymous. So my mother is a very level-headed, rational person and has never had a belief in ghosts or the paranormal. She is not the kind of person to make a story like this up, so it has always deeply disturbed me because I wholeheartedly believe it happened exactly as she says. So when she was 17, still living in her parents' old house in Virginia, She was reading a book in her room on a school night. She said she remembers finishing the chapter of the book she was reading, thinking that was a good chapter, then closing the book and putting it on her nightstand. The lamp by her bed was still on, and just as she was about to reach over to turn it off to get ready to go to sleep, there was a sheet of darkness that she describes as being thrown over her, almost like someone threw a blanket, but nothing was there physically. She jolted up and stood next to her bed, and slowly the darkness faded, and she could see her room again. But as she could slowly see more, she realized there were 3 figures in the room with her. One was next to the door, the other in the far left corner of the room, and the third sitting in a chair that was on the other side of the bed in the corner. They didn't speak, but my mom knew that they were there to take her away with them. It was almost telepathic, the way she describes it, and that she knew why they were there and what their intentions were. She was frozen for a minute, but then decided to try to run out of her room, which she did, out the door, down the stairs, and into the living room, which was a straight shot from the bottom of the stairs. She was screaming at this point for her dad, and as she turned around, she saw the 3 figures floating down the steps toward her. Just before the one in the front made it to the bottom, she heard her dad coming, and all of the figures vanished like smoke. Her dad was understandably disturbed, and my mom never slept in that room again until she moved out of the house. Anytime I've asked her to describe what those figures looked like to get more detail, many times over the years, she tells me the same thing, that they had a human form, but no details in the face or skin. They were translucent and foggy. Anonymous, that is such a scary story. It's just really scary. It's short. It is not sweet. It is scary. It is short and scary. The way that she said, there's just, God, I'm jumping around, but the way that she said, she just knew why they were there and that they were there to take her away, which first of all, away to where? Away to where? Where? Where were they taking her? I mean, who are they? Where? We're covering the questions. We got who, what, when, where, why. It's honestly scarier not knowing. It's scarier not knowing where or who or why or how. But speaking of when, that makes me think, how long had they been there? Had these figures been hanging out? She's just relaxing in her bed, existing, and they're just biding their time. And then why did she see them? Like, the veil being lifted. Like you hear that phrase a lot when you're talking about the supernatural. But usually it's just a metaphor. Whereas in this case, it was as if there was a dark veil over her eyes that was lifted that she didn't even realize was there before. Of course, it sounds like the veil was then back in place again as soon as she got in contact with her dad, who was ready to protect her. I'm sure that her dad, your grandpa, was ready to murder someone if someone was in the house, thinking, what is wrong with my daughter? I'm going to protect her. And then he couldn't even see what she was screaming about. I mean, hopefully he never saw it. What I want to have happened, as always, what I hope happened is that, here's the thing. Whenever you're in bed, there's a chance you have fallen asleep and not realized that you were asleep. You feel like you're awake. I don't know if y'all have these dreams. I have dreams that are very mundane. I have dreams where I'm laying in my normal bed in my normal bedroom. There's nothing weird and it feels very real. I also have dreams that I go to the grocery store and buy bread. And then I don't buy bread in real life because I knew I already bought the bread. Why would I buy bread twice? Oh, I didn't buy bread and now I'm out of bread. So I have a lot of mundane dreams. So anytime you're in bed or in any sort of situation where you can fall asleep, it is possible that what you're experiencing and when you feel like you're awake, it's possible that you were asleep. So what I hope is that she fell asleep unknowingly. Unknowingly, she fell asleep. She had a dream, a nightmare, or even a hypnagogic hallucination, which is the hallucinations that you have between being awake and being asleep. If it's between being asleep and being awake, that's a hypnopompic hallucination. Now, I'm saying the word hallucination a lot. And if you're not familiar with hypnopompic or hypnagogic hallucinations, I'm so ready. I'm so ready to tell you. I love talking about this because what I see a lot when I'm reading stories that are posted on various subreddits, paranormal subreddits to be clear, someone will share their story and they'll preface it by saying, hey, I'm not on drugs, I don't drink, and I'm a functioning member of society. I don't have schizophrenia and I don't have a mental illness. But I'm here to say that hallucinating is actually way more common than anyone realizes. And it's happening a lot. Like, for instance, have you ever experienced feeling your phone vibrate in your pocket and actually it's nowhere near you? That is a hallucination. That is a tactile hallucination. Your brain is feeling something that wasn't there. So if that's ever happened to you, you've hallucinated. Have you ever been falling asleep at night and heard a voice call your name or any other type of sound, like a doorbell ringing that wasn't there, or a phone ringing that wasn't there, or any other noise? That probably was a hallucination. That would have been a hypnagogic hallucination because that's happening as you're falling asleep. It's also related to exploding head syndrome, which I personally have experienced all of those things. Not fun, but they are hallucinations. And okay, maybe you haven't heard someone call your name in your ear. However, I bet that your body has jerked when you were falling asleep and it's woken you up because in your quasi dream state, you were picturing yourself falling. That is a hallucination. That's called a hypnic jerk, which is the perfect term for it because what a jerk move to wake me up as I'm falling asleep. So that's a hallucination. So hopefully I have informed you that actually lots of people hallucinate all the time. Something else that you can hallucinate in your hypnagogic or hypnopompic state is figures or a sense of impending doom or just feeling like you're being threatened or like there's some ominous figure and you're in danger. Those are all also associated with hypnopompic or hypnagogic states. It lacks the narrative or like story feeling that a dream has. Even if dreams are kind of wacky and don't really make sense when you try to explain them, they still have things happen. Whereas hypnagogic or hypnopompic hallucinations, you don't really have that, but they do feel very real. And in fact, being in a hypnopompic or a hypnagogic state makes you a little less able to decipher reality from fiction. So you do mistake things as being real when you're in that state. So, all to say, what I want to have happened is that your mom accidentally fell asleep, unknowingly had a hypnagogic or a hypnopompic hallucination, mistook it for reality, and then got terrified because of course you would, because there's figures in your room and you're convinced that they're going to take you away to some, I don't know, some hellish place like hell or the DMV. Heyo. In a perfect world, that's what happened to your mom. Hopefully, she never experienced anything like that ever again. However, if she did, I want to hear about it and I want to hear more stories. But if you are interested in learning more about hallucinations and how normal they are and also how wild they can get, I highly recommend you check out the book Hallucinations by Dr. Oliver Sacks. Honestly, check out every single thing Dr. Oliver Sacks has ever written. Check him out. He's amazing. So smart. Rest in peace, Doc. Thank you so much for listening. Remember, you can feel afraid and not be in danger. Please remember to like and subscribe. It means a lot. Until next time.